What's up, guys? So this is actually my second time recording this because the first time I did not hit the record button because I forgot what my hotkey was. So if I sound a little tired or irritated, just that's why. Because I recorded like probably a half an hour, 30 something minute just yap, and then didn't actually record any of it. But today I'm going to be talking about Rivens and some of the problems that I think the system has, and reasons why I think it more or less is a net negative on the game. So the first thing is the fact that they do not succeed at fulfilling the original goal that they had on creation. So, to my knowledge, the reason why Rivens were created was to take older, maybe less weapons that hadn't aged as well, and give them some new power. I don't think this works because it does not ever solve the problems that a weapon has. So we're going to take something like the Ankyros here, for example. And the problems with the Ankyros are, for one, the abysmal range. And while a Riven, melee Rivens can have range, of course, so does Primed Reach. And Primed Reach is like you don't have to gamble to get the plus range on it. It also has abysmal damage. It has really mediocre stats. And then I'm not too familiar with stances and what makes them good and what makes them bad. But as a sparring weapon, I don't really know if sparring stances are in a good spot or not. But it might have a bad stance, right? Rivens can't fix stances. It's just like point blank. So if your stance is bad, the Riven is not going to save you. And if all of your stats are not very good, like the Ankyros, the Riven's not gonna. It's not gonna make you. It's not gonna turn you from a bad weapon to a pretty good weapon. There's just simply you can't roll enough good traits to offset the amount of bad traits that this weapon has. So it doesn't really do that. Another problem with them is that they are insanely expensive to get into. Now, I say that both in the way you obtain them, which is through either Veiled Rivens and getting lucky, or through buying them in Trade Jet. Now, buying them in Trade Jet, obviously the kind of modern advice nowadays for new players is to not even look at Trade Chat, and that's for good reason. I just open up Trade Chat randomly, and I'll scroll down to the bottom, actually. And I bet if I just actually look right there. Here's somebody trying to sell a bunch of Rivens. Now, they don't put a price on them. If I scroll up a little bit, here's someone trying to sell a Tora Riven for this, what was that, 600 plat? Yeah, wanting to buy Unrolled Riven for dual Coda Torsica, Unrolled Riven for the Latron, right? 50 plat. So 50 plat is not like an irrelevant amount to a mid to newer player. And 600 plat is obviously ridiculous. Here's another 105 plat for dual Toxist, Occucore Burst on. 120 for wait, what? This person put it twice? Okay. 50 plat for a Bow Riven, right? It's expensive in terms of acquisition. And then once you acquire it, you're still not out of the woods, because now you gotta roll it. And it's, after the first 9 rolls, 3,500 Kuva per. And, you're looking, I have quite a bit of Kuva, but I've saved this up over the course of, like, 2-ish years. And I never did anything like Kuva Siphons or anything. This is all just from, like, Ribbon Slivers, Void Plume Pinions from Yanta, Steel Essence trading with Teshin, and what I would call, like, bulk Kuva acquisition. And even with that, I have with 33.6 million Kuva, I have a little over 1,000 rolls on any given Riven. Now, is that a lot? Yeah, but it's gambling, so you're not guaranteed that you get the stats that you want. In fact, I don't remember what the exact odds were, but the exact odds of getting a perfect rolled Riven is abysmal. I mean, it's like, it's not lottery ticket bad, but it's like knife out of a CS:GO crate bad. So you need to put a bunch of either you need to get crazy lucky with rolling it from a Veiled Ribbon, or spend money on it for plat in the market, and then you need to put a bunch of time in to get Kuva to then roll it to get a good stat. And then once you get the good stat, what does it actually do for you? Well, if I go to a Riven like this, right? This is multi-shot crit damage, whatever, negative on the Torrid. This Riven has no impact on my Torrid's, like, kill rate, I'll say. Obviously, yes, it does more damage than a build that doesn't have this. But it's not relevant damage. This is very similar to the point I made in my very first video about, you know, Topaz shards on Mesa or purple shards on Exalted melee frames. You're adding more damage to something that just flat out doesn't need it. The only benefit this Riven really has is that this extra multi-shot sometimes allows me to full charge the Incarnate form off of one body shot with the Torrid. But that is the only increase. So you do all of this work to get a Riven, and then if it's on a weapon that, you know, is very good, literally doesn't affect it at all, or if it's on a weapon that's terrible, it doesn't noticeably, it doesn't solve the problems the weapon has. Now, melees are actually probably in the best camp, because melees, this is a good example, melees are the only weapon type that I would say are, like, really strapped on mod space. And so being able to get something like electricity and range on one mod slot can be very good. And that could make a difference. But again, then we loop back to the other problem that they're expensive and time consuming and a yada yada. And realistically, this is marginal gains over just using, like, Shocking Touch. The range is nice, but it's a marginal benefit. And then obviously, I mean, for primaries and secondaries, there's even less useful, because I don't think primaries and secondaries are really, like, pressed for mod capacity unless you have some augment that you need to be running. There is also the use for something like the Ceramic Dagger, where you want to, for Outburst at least, you want to get this initial combo as high as possible. Those weapons, there's like 2 of them, I think. So I don't really think this applies. This is, you know, the exception, not the rule. And then beyond that, I think disposition as a stat is kind of a problem, because this is just an example on the EFE8 Mars. This thing has a 1 out of 5 disposition, and it was released, like, what, 5 months ago, I think? I don't think this weapon's very good. I think most people don't think this weapon's very good. So if you see a weapon like this as a new player and you're like, oh, that looks like a fun weapon though, I want to, you know, use it to its max power, and you get a Riven for it, and then you have these abysmally low stats, I mean, that just defeats the whole purpose of, like, min-maxing the build for a weapon that's, like, off meta. In my opinion, I think new weapons should start at 1.0 disposition. That way they're right in the middle. And then if the weapon turns out to be really overpowered, then maybe you can bring it down. And if it's really bad, then you can bring it up. Or maybe it's, you know, right in the perfect spot, 1.0. Leave it where it is. But you at least give people a reason to use Rivens on brand new weapons. Now that's a way to fix the disposition problem. Obviously, I think there's more problems. The biggest problem that I think Rivens have is the fact that Veiled Riven mods are kinda terrible as a way of acquisition, because these just naturally get worse with every update. Every update, it gets harder to find the rifle you want from Rivens, the pistol, you know, the melee, the shotgun, whatever. So these are just always getting worse. I think there should be a item with rarity similar to Archon shards, so you can only get 1, maybe 2 per week. That allows you to lock in a specific weapon for a given Riven. I think that would be a really good addition, and I don't really think it would... I mean, it would have drastic effects on the market for Rivens, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't really care about the market for Rivens. Another way that I think Rivens kind of need to be improved in order for them to be more user-friendly and better for mid to newer players is to lower the cost of rolling a Riven stats. 9 rolls until you reach the max, and then the max is like, what is it, like 3 or 4 times more expensive than the first roll, is just pretty ridiculous, and it feels pretty awful. I think they should either increase the amount of bulk Kuva you can obtain and make it, you know, easier to get, or either lower the max cost from 3,500 to, like, I don't know, 2,500, or reduce the amount of rolls it takes to reach the maximum. So right now it takes 9. And I'm saying maybe make it like, this is a bit extreme, but maybe make it 99 rolls to reach the 3,500. Just something to prevent you from instantly just dumping Kuva and getting nothing out of it. I think either of the two changes would be good, either increasing the Kuva acquisition or lowering the amount of Kuva cost. So yeah, that's kind of my overall thoughts on Rivens. I probably recorded this second try like way faster than I recorded the first try, but that's okay. Obviously, I don't really think Rivens are going to be touched in the near future, or maybe even in the rest of Warframe's life. I think they're too old of a system with too much money behind it that I think DE touching it would be very risky. But I'm just talking about this because it's an opinion I have, and I think it's fun to talk about. If you guys have other opinions, let me know. If you guys think I'm way off base about anything, let me know. If you have any video ideas, or like anything you want me to talk about specifically, let me know, because admittedly I am somewhat running out of video ideas. I do have another topic that I view in a similar light as Rivens that I might make a video on pretty soon. Let me know if you guys would want to see or would be interested in seeing like build guide videos. I initially said no to somebody who commented it because I just didn't really want to make that content, and because most of my builds are somewhat siphoning off of other content creators' builds. But if you guys really want to see it, then like I'll probably do 1 or 2 that I think are fun. I'm probably not going to do one on like, you know, a frame like Saren. I mean, like, I think there's 1,000,001 Saren guides. I'm not going to do one on like Titania, Wisp, any of those. I'll try and keep it to a frame that's like kind of underused or a bit more niche. And let me know if you guys would be at all interested in seeing like a tier list. Probably wouldn't do one on like frames, because I think frame tier lists are generally pretty worthless. But if you want to see something like quest tier list, that was one idea I had. Music tier list of like the OST. Maybe like character tier list, like from the lore, all the different characters. Anything like that, let me know. But yeah, other than that, that's probably about it. Yeah, in the end, I don't really think Rivens are very good for the reason that they were added. And overall, I think they hurt more people than they really help. So I would like them to be changed, but again, don't really think they're going to be, and that's okay. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in whatever video I make next.